episode of Point Blank and got some dancing music to go with it. My name is Adolphus Pruitt.
And I'm the Reverend Daryl Gray.
Hey, Daryl, how you like that, man?
Well, listen, I've listened to the show, so I jam off of it anyway. I think it's outstanding. I listen to the show. I typically, back in the day when I was doing some radio in Montreal, I wouldn't listen to myself. I wouldn't do it. But now, it's an opportunity to put myself in the seat of the listener. Are we talking too fast? Are we being clear enough? Why
would we do all of that for the listeners?
Well, listen, I think that if anybody is going to commit 1 hour to listen to anything that you have to say, unless it's all about entertainment. But for you, I know it's not. When you've made a commitment to inform our listening audience, when you've made a commitment to educate our listening audience, and some of the people that we've invited have been extremely inspirational and encouraging. So, yeah, I think it's important that every now and then we take a step back.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, we got to interrupt the show.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we got to interrupt the show. My man Jake Greenberg is here. Jake, take this mic right here, man.
Okay. Hey, thanks, BJ. It is great to be here with you. Hey, Reverend.
Listen to
So
this.
wait a minute. My question is
Listen to this.
How come everybody's getting awards but me?
I know. You know what? It's not every day that we could say the FBI is breaking in.
Yeah, I agree.
Breaking news. Breaking news and breaking in.
This is the FBI and they're looking for Daryl.
Breaking news in the FBI.
Hey, listen. Every morning that I pick up my phone, Jay, you know what I do? I say hello, everybody.
I brought one award and one set of handcuffs.
Oh,
so I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Hey, listen.
Hey,
I take the handcuff. We can handcuff us together.
That's right.
I don't want to be
Wherever one of you
handcuffed,
goes, both of you
because
go.
I ain't gonna
I saw the
take it
movie.
to fall by myself.
I saw the movie with Sidney Poitier and Tony
if-
Curtis. I saw that movie. Remember that? Was it Defiance or anyway, whatever.
Wait
Jay,
a minute.
tell us
Am
why-
I Sydney or you?
I would be Sidney.
Jay, let's move on.
You guys can fight over that. I don't think you're going to resolve it today. But hey, it's a privilege to be with you guys always, particularly today. Since 1990, the FBI has hosted the Directors Community Leadership Award. It's to recognize specific civic and community leaders who have greatly advanced the causes of the communities in which they belong. And so it is a real privilege, Adolphus, to be here with you today and say that for FBI St. Louis, right here in 2024, you are our nominee. You are the awardee for FBI St. Louis as the Directors Community Leadership Award.
What? Well, congratulations.
Congratulations.
We don't have one of those little
Thank you.
We don't have one of those little machines that clap for it. Do we have to clap ourselves?
Yeah, we got to clap ourselves.
We don't have one. We don't have a noise machine.
Look, you have been a force for good in this community for a lot of years. You've worked with us in a variety of ways for a number of years, helping advance our cause, helping really get the community to have good, open dialogue that advances all perspectives, not just one perspective, not a law enforcement perspective, not a community perspective, but mutual understanding, respect, so that we can all move forward together. And it will be a privilege to be with you in D.C. Friday, April the 19th, when the director presents you the real certificate. Wow. There at J. Edgar Hoover's at headquarters.
Wow. Let me say this, and I appreciate it. I'm humble. But, the one thing I appreciate more than anything is that I can only do this by working in partnership with people on the other side who wants to work together to solve problems. And every director, since I've been the president of the NACP for the past 13 years, that hasn't been an SAC in the St. Louis office, we have not been able to work with. And that has been so extremely important. And so we appreciate the relationship. We appreciate your work, Jay. Daryl.
Hey,
hold me to this.
I'm good.
Hold me to this.
I'm listening. I just want to make sure I can go with you.
Out
on
of
the
13 years, he has been the most accessible and open-hearted at looking at the issues and taking us to a level where we have a greater understanding of what it is that you guys do, and we may not always agree, but at least we always can communicate and have an understanding about it. And that's what I appreciate, because, ladies and gentlemen, I know everybody that's on the radio always agree with me and disagree with Daryl.
Always. Always. We're talking 100%.
I know y'all always do, but for those who don't, well, I'm not perfect, just 99.9999%.
He may not always be right, but he's never wrong. So I don't know what
I
it's
got that from Daryl.
But Adolphus, I want to say congratulations. Like I said, it's all about public safety. We've always been very pro public safety.
Yes.
It's important that public safety has a partnership. And like you said, Jay and I remember the first time Jay came on the show, and being an activist and all that, you get kind of reluctant. You're like, oh, okay. But you're absolutely right. Jay has been very accessible. He's always reached out. He's always been available, and he's fair.
Yeah.
And when we talk about having a champion inside of public safety, we're not talking about necessarily a champion for community or a champion for police. We're talking about being a champion for justice.
And fairness.
And fairness.
And
And Jay, you've proven
fairness.
yourself. And so it's easy. I think it's easier for an organization like the NAACP or any organization, and a person like Adolphus, who we rely on in the community from a civil rights point of view, to kind of steer us in the right direction. And so, again, Adolphus, congratulations on the 19th. If you need someone to carry your bags.
So, Adolphus, you can get up to 10 people with you into headquarters. Now, we'll pay for your travel.
Okay,
Then
no,
the
no,
entourage,
no,
the
no, no,
entourage
no.
gets
I
to
can
come
take
along.
10.
No, Jay,
You can take 10.
No.
You can take 10. I'll reserve you guys a whole row.
So we're gonna do the
Whole row
show.
in the
We're gonna do the
auditorium.
show from DC.
Well, we can do that. But Jay, the way you said that, and my grandmother would say, you said, oh, there's room for 10, Adolphus, but they got to pay their own way. So that my grandmother would say that's like a cow giving a good can of milk and then kicking it over.
that just mean
you gave a good can of milk and then you kicked it over.
Jay, that just means he's driving the van.
I'll drive. BJ, I'll drive.
I'm looking forward to being there with you, just like it's been great to be here with you.
No. And like I say, I really do appreciate it and love working with you guys. You do good work,
Ditto.
and we appreciate the relationship.
Ditto. It's a privilege to be here with you guys. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
You guys.
All right, congrats again.
I'm like, okay. Go ahead, Adolphus.
Thank you.
Lord have mercy. I'll be looking
BJ,
for my next
hey.
show, okay?
Okay, I didn't really bring
Daryl, and we got to watch BJ, because BJ went to that door and come back. When you go to that door, BJ, every time you go out now, we're going to be watching.
I know.
We're going to be
Because
watching.
I'm wondering, I'm saying to myself, why did BJ just get up
leave
and
in the middle of the
leave?
show?
Yeah,
And he didn't cue in the music.
I know.
I did. I had to, usually I'll go out and use the restroom.
Right?
remember? But we've been planning this for 2 weeks now?
Yeah.
And I just told him, I said, what we're going to do is come in at this time, because he'll be in the middle of talking, and we're just going to interrupt the show.
I was, and no more,
All right.
no more pee breaks for BJ.
No, when you got to go. Grandmama said when you got to go, you got to go. I'm always quoting Grandma.
Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Oh, when we're back.
I tell you what, you know
We're
what?
back.
That was a good last segment, and it is important.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's important, Adolphus, that people understand how important it is to work with people who you may not understand, you may not see eye to eye, you may even disagree. But when we talk about public safety, if we really believe in community policing, then the word community comes first. And what you have proven in your role as president of the NAACP, you hold law enforcement accountable, but you can't hold them accountable if you don't understand the standard operation procedures, the way in which they're supposed to do things. If you don't know how they're supposed to do things, and how can you challenge them to do right? And so, congratulations again, man. It's well deserved.
No, I appreciate it. And again, folks, let's just be clear. when police do the wrong thing,
All right.
when terrorists and white supremacists do the wrong thing, when you get all this other crazy stuff, there's the FBI that we go to and say, hey, you need to deal with this.
That's right.
Because we can't rely on the local folks to pick up the mantle. But let's go, BJ. Are we wrapping up or we no. We're gonna go to a quick break and we be back with more on Point Black. And we are back. And Daryl was surfing.
Hey, listen, I'm going with the flow, man. Listen,
I hear you.
I love me some good jazz. I love some blues. I love some good instrumental. And then when you have that, basically, you can just add your own words. So in my mind, I was coming up with a song. I can't tell you about it right now because it was all about my wife. But maybe later on, I'll go ahead and, I don't know, Jay-Z kind of buzzed. I thought I might get a Grammy, but Jay-Z said it don't matter how many Grammys you get, you're still not going to get album of the year. But anyway, that's a whole different story.
Well, you know, I think Jay-Z said a lot.
Hey.
I think he said a lot. But you know, Daryl, they announced that there was a Lambert Airport impact study on the St. Louis economy and said it's going to grow by $5 billion in 2030. Right now it's at $27.5 billion a year. $27.5 billion a year in economic activity for the metro area. They said, well, that's what the airport does. And they said in another, 6 to 7 years, it'll be $5 billion more. You know, and I thought that was interesting.
I never thought it was that much.
Because when you have that sort of economic activity,
right,
and it's owned by the citizens of the city of St. Louis, and it generates that much economic activity, you would expect.
Wow.
You would expect.
Come on, that public education would be funded.
Well, you would expect that black folks are participating in that economic activity.
Well, particularly in a region that has such a high percentage of African American people, both in the city and the county, you would think that, and a region that has enjoyed for the most part black black elected officials who determine policy, who determine procedure, and I would think who would determine the whole idea of diversity and equity and inclusion. I would think that because of that, and because of most of these elected officials are progressive too, I would think that because of that, you're absolutely right that the most vulnerable and the most marginalized community would begin to see more of an impact and improvement in their community based upon these kind of numbers.
So then, let's just share some facts.
Okay.
Let's share some facts.
Are we deep diving yet?
Yeah, we gonna do. We really gonna do one now. Guess what? There's one company called the Hudson Group that operates 100% of the merchandise sold at the airport.
Wait a minute, that sounds to me. Now I don't know a lot, but that sounds like
not beverage. But when you go in the store, in the airport and buy anything, paper, newspaper, anything, 100%.
There was no bidding process today?
Oh, I guess there's something to it. 100%. And I mean, let's be clear. And as always, for as long as I can remember.
Wow.
100%. And the Hudson Group, they ain't black.
BJ, to me, that sounds like a monopoly.
It ain't black.
Not the game. I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking because this ain't no game. This ain't no joke. 100%.
Then you got Host International. Is the prime concessionaire for food and beverages and operates 93% of when you go to a restaurant or buy some food or beverage in the airport, 93% of the places belong to Host International. Now, Host, of course, is not black.
And it may not, now 98%, now that may not be the whole monopoly, but that's the monopoly without the Lee on it. I'm telling you that.
Well, it might as well because OHM is the other one who owns just one. So them together own 100%.
Wow.
100%.
But what's the process?
and-
is this a year-to-year contract? Is
They
this a multi-year
bid. They
contract?
bid on his contracts. Absolutely.
And they bid on it.
Yes. And now, don't get me wrong. I believe Host International has some minority participation. There's somebody black
Okay.
who's in there. But we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, let's be clear.
Mm-hmm.
If someone owns 100%
Yeah.
of everything you buy from a retail establishment in the airport,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care that they have some minority participation who is at they 10%, 20%. If it ain't 50%,
Right. Right.
if it ain't half,
It's our half.
or if it ain't them owning it outright,
Right.
because next week we're gonna give you examples of what I'm talking. Let's be clear, just so nobody can say, "Oh, well, ain't no black folks doing this." I'm gonna show you across the country
Of course.
where black folks are doing exactly what I'm saying is not happening at the airport.
Jackson Hartville International Airport is one. When you start thinking about airport across the country, Jackson Hartville International Airport, Hotlanta, Georgia. But going back to this, Adolphus, and you're the president of NAACP. What is the requirement if this is if Lambert Airport is a publicly owned entity,
City-owned.
a city-owned entity, then what are the requirements? Do we have any requirements? Does the city have equity and requirements?
Well, I'm glad you said that.
Well, I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, they have some federal requirements for inclusion,
Okay.
and they call it A, B, C, D, and E. These are disadvantaged enterprises.
Okay.
And so, give you a good example. On March the 3rd of last year, BJ, the EEO compliance specialist for the DBE ABCDE program from the FAA,
All of the alphabets.
FAA Office of Civil Rights, had to come to the St. Louis airport.
Oh.
And they came. Let me say what. And this is what the airport wrote in response to them. They thanked them for coming and meeting with them.
Well, there you go.
And they said, as discussed during that meeting, the issues of concern were St. Louis International Airport lack of monitoring concessions, both rental car and non-rental car, and documented good faith efforts for those concessions not meeting their goals.
Okay, so let me
So
be
they had to
clear.
come in. They came in.
So let me be clear. It's the airport. Is it the airport commission's
Yes.
responsibility
And the director.
and the director to ensure that any type of equity or diversity or inclusion policies are carried out? So now, are
As
you?
a matter of fact, they have an office dedicated for that. Assistant Airport Director for Community Programs.
And who makes sure who appoints these people to this commission?
Well, the mayor appoints the director, hires the director, who's been there through a few mayors. And let me be quiet. Listen.
This is point blank. We are not quiet on point blank.
No. I said, but let me be quiet. Let me be quiet. I said, but let me be quiet.
I'm listening.
I'm gonna break. I'm gonna just break some stuff down.
Okay,
That's good. Let's just say this.
But I'm gonna bring you back to that. Let me be quiet coming in a minute.
But they were so off that now this is what the airport wrote to the Office of Civil Rights of FAA. The purpose of this monitoring action plan is to address the aforementioned issues and ensure that our program is operating in compliance and effective as relates to federal regulations and consistent with industry best standards. So bottom line was that they're awarding contracts. These folks had these long-term contracts.
Right.
They have 100% ownership of this.
Right.
93% ownership of that.
Right.
And then we're going to get into the rental car part in a minute. And the airport has they bid it out, and they have these requirements that says you have to meet these goals, or you at least have to show a good faith effort.
Correct. Okay.
That you try to meet the goals. And it was been determined, and don't get me wrong, the airport said they didn't. The FAA came and met with them, and they said we didn't.
We didn't do it. We didn't do what we were supposed to do. We haven't monitored anything. We haven't even monitored the monitor.
And said that we need
Wow.
and said that we're gonna give you a corrective action plan so we can fix this. But you know what's happening while that's going on now? This was March of last year.
Oh, good Lord.
9 months later, 11 months later.
Well, 9 months later, we're supposed to have a baby. So what happened?
11 months
Something
later.
should be delivered 9 months
11
later.
months later, guess who's up for their bids are in, and the airport is about to vote whether to approve those bids?
Well, let me guess.
The rental-car agencies. The rental-car agencies. And guess what we found?
Tell me what you found.
Oh, my goodness. Daryl, according to our research, and we spelled it out, during the last 7 years, there were no ongoing good faith efforts documented by the rental car companies or requested by the airport to show why, for the past 7 years, all but one has operated in a deficit. They have not met the goals.
So let's be clear for our audience. No good faith effort has been made in 7 years.
Right. And none documented. They all, we said we did some, but none. The FAA couldn't find. When the FAA came, they could not document.
We're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. No documented
No documented.
good faith effort. But if that's not bad enough, the people who are responsible for making sure that these corporations comply with equity policies and goals and so forth are not even monitoring the corporations to make sure that there's at least a good faith effort. So my question, I mean, Pruitt,
And let's be clear.
wow.
Let's be clear, ladies and gentlemen. So I want, we get some folks on here and say, well, they making us hire these black folks. And these are for disadvantaged businesses. They ain't got nothing to do with race.
That's right.
But what more than anything is that, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you an example. Alamo Rental, their goal was 3%. They shortfall, 3%. Enterprise goal was 3%. Their shortfall, 2.18%.
Okay.
National, 3%. They shortfall, 2.11%. Hearst, 3%. They shortfall, 2.9%. Thrifty, 3%, 1.98. The only people that came close, listen, there was two of them who surpassed their goal.
Right.
Avis and Budget. And their goals were 3%, and they came back in at 5%. So how can Avis and Budget do that, and everybody else cannot? So what is it about Avis and Budget?
We're talking about millions.
Yes.
We're talking about millions of dollars.
Yes. We talking about a lot of money. BJ, so BJ, you and I both in the radio business.
Come on.
Okay.
And we have some goals.
Come on. And I'm the monitor.
We have some goals. And you and I gotta get at least two people to talk in the mic.
At least two.
And we in the same studio. We got the same set of mics. But you get two people to talk in your mic, and I can't get none. So it's only two people in the world that know how to talk in mics.
It's something you're not doing.
There's something you're not doing.
It's something you're not doing.
Right. And I think
Or don't care to do.
Or it's something you're doing and you're not telling everybody that you did it.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Or door number 3, you don't want to do it. If there's listen, you've operated this way for the last 7 years. You haven't had to bring 2 people in because nobody challenged you on that. The requirement was that you bring 2 people in. You promised to bring 2 people in, but you didn't. So if you didn't, is it because you couldn't or because you just didn't want to? But either way, somebody is responsible for saying, whose job is it to make sure that you are doing what you are supposed to do and what you promised to do? And so, Pruitt, that still gets me back to the airport commission and the commissioners and the director, that at some point, if we're talking about, and it's interesting, we talk about Dr. King and Black History Month and economic injustice. We talk about the reality of the wealth gap. We talk about all of those things. But when it comes to the specifics as to why there is a wealth gap, these are some of the reasons why.
But it gets more interesting.
Come on,
Darryl.
bring it then.
I hate
You're the one going to. You're the one going to D.C. You're the one going to D.C. later on this week.
I might not be able to fly. They might try to ban me at the airport.
We go in the van. We need.
At least rent a car.
Hey, BJ. Yeah. Now, if they hear this show, you're right. You may not be able to go.
well, to make sure they hear the show. But so it gets more interesting. Now I just show you that most of them came up short and 2 did better,
right.
Exceeded the goal, right? Well, now the new bids are in, and airport has to vote on these new bids. And guess what?
What's that?
Everybody but one submitted a bid saying we're gonna come up short again. Now wait a minute. This is behind.
Yeah.
This is behind me telling FAA.
Right.
I'm gonna come up with a corrective action plan.
Right.
To fix what you came in here and said I was not doing right, and then the same folk are submitting. And you're right, the commission, you're going to have this bids in front of you.
Right.
Now, I don't know if somebody ought to tell them, listen, did you see what they done for the past 7 years? But they telling you now, hey, guess what? BJ, this example I use.
Just saying, we're not going to bring the 2 people in there.
We require to have 2 people, but damn it, I ain't bringing them.
Just like we didn't bring them in the last 7 years, we ain't bringing them in next
year. Hey, Darryl.
They telling you in advance, hey, while they are asking you to let you keep your job.
Hey.
BJ, while they're asking you to let me keep my job, but I'm not going to do my job.
No.
Hey, at least they're being honest. I mean, it's just like dating somebody, right? And they come back and say, well, I'm going to jail again, right?
Before the first date. Well, while they're on the first date.
While they're on the first date.
But BJ,
I'm probably going to end up going to jail again,
going back to jail,
just so you know.
But BJ, just think about it. Now, I got accused of not making a good faith effort because I come up short.
Right.
And I'm submitting you a bid, so I'm going to come up short. So am I also saying, and I ain't doing a good faith effort?
but like you said, the reality becomes, I mean, I still think, Pruitt, that it's our fault. Here we are. We're and it's our fault. And when I say our, we're on the radio. We have an opportunity. Right now we're doing a radio show. Right now. We have an opportunity to say to people, this is what is happening.
Yes.
But we also, I think, have a responsibility and an opportunity to say to those who are charged with correcting this. Yeah. The commission is charged with making sure the policies and the goals of the commission and the administration.
The folks who have to approve, and we got a member of the Board of Aldermen on there. You got the comptroller has representative on there. The president Board of Aldermen has representative. All these folks on commission. And mayor has representative. What I'm saying is that you are voting on this stuff.
Right.
But even to a major degree, the person that reports to you, the director, is responsible for carrying out your policies and making sure that they done. So these folks gonna submit to your director, say, hey, guess what? Yeah, we came up short the past 7 years, and guess what? We're gonna come up the next 7 years.
So for me, Adolphus, and
give me my contract.
And we've been in enough public hearings.
Yes, we have.
And we go, we provide information, or we're seeking information, and so now, I've got to ask myself the question: the committees, the city committee that's responsible for this, and whoever's in the comptroller's office or the mayor's office, if they have been receiving, and I know we've got a new board, we've got a fairly new mayor, our comptroller, wonderful, competent, genuine person, but along the way, these reports have got to be submitted to elected officials every year. I'm curious, BJ, of the response from the elected officials. I'm curious as to what they have been saying to the director, who has come back over the last 7 years and said, we're not reaching our goals. And we know that unemployment and underemployment in our in the community, particularly black and brown communities, are high, but we're not reaching our goal. I'm curious, Adolph.
But let's see. There's another little piece to this that just really puts the knife in your back and twist it, and that is good faith effort. So if they can demonstrate a good faith effort, they can come up short on the goal.
Yeah, got you.
But let's be clear, folks. What the federal policy on good faith efforts says: airports are expected to do a rigorous review of the quality and quantity and intensity of the good faith efforts made by car rental companies to meet the goal. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A rigorous. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to take us out of here for a moment.
We're going to just take a short break, and we're coming right back with more of Point Black. All right, and we are back, I hope that you are loving the music, because I'm telling you, I am grooving on it. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget now, if you want to send us a recommendation or a suggestion, or you want to criticize Adolphus for anything or everything that he says, you can always do that by going to the iHeartRadio app and type in Point Black, and right in on the top right-hand corner, it's a talk back mic. You press that little mic button, and you talk back to Adolphus as much as you want to. Or you can go on any social media site, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and type in Point Black STL, and you can listen to us. You can see us. I don't know if you want to see us that much, but you can listen to us. You can follow us. But we do want your comments. We want to know, and you might have some ideas about some topics or issues that we haven't discussed yet, or some guests that you might think would be interesting enough to come on the show. We're on here. Shoot, just about anybody can do it. Anyway, Adolphus.
Yeah, hey, and ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about especially this thing called good faith effort.
I know, that's when you said that, though, because you're right. At the end of the day, all that is being expected is you to make an effort.
A good faith effort.
A good faith effort. And that's subjective, too. I mean, what is a good faith effort? But
they say rigorous and intense.
But the airport is required.
No, the contractee.
So
when they submit their
the
contract.
good faith effort has to be
from the bidder. From the bidder.
Has to be rigorous.
Rigorous.
And intense.
Intense.
In other words, you've got to do something.
Yeah, you're at the show. I at least at the show where the example we gave with two people at the mic. At least at the show where I went out and asked somebody.
I did ask
when you
somebody.
come on the mic.
Even though I knew they were going to say no, at least I asked them.
And matter of fact, good faith effort would say that you at least better ask somebody, if there's somebody who has experience of talking on the mic, you have to include them in the ask.
Because that
if
would
you
be
don't, that ain't a good faith effort.
And that would be rigorous. And
that's not a good
intense.
faith.
Yeah.
And then what it says is this: a failure by the car rental company to demonstrate sufficient good faith efforts may result in a finding of non-compliance with the program requirements and must, this is what I'm saying, and must be enforced by the airport, or failure by the airport to do so may result in a finding of non-compliance against the airport. So let's just be clear. So if they don't comply,
Right.
and you don't demonstrate where you were doing the monitoring and compliance and enforcement, technically you are out of compliance.
Exactly.
As the airport. That's why they had to come up with an action plan in the first place.
So when does the action plan due?
The action plan was a plan that the airport had to lay out
Right.
to say how they're going to address their deficiencies in monitoring and compliance.
Okay, but so so the airport made a commitment that they were going to develop the action plan.
Yes.
I got it.
Yes, and had to submit it.
And they made that commitment to do that back in March 8th
yeah,
of
9 months
2000
ago. 6 months.
Okay, so now we're saying here we are 9 months
Wait,
later.
11 months. I'm sorry.
So we're past the due date, because even with a pregnancy, you're talking about 7 months premature,
my goodness.
9 months full term.
Yeah.
We're talking about 11 months. That baby, are they having twins? I'm just asking.
But my point is, you have an action plan. You said it's in place, and people are submitting you bids. They're saying, "Hey, we're gonna come up short." So either the action plan ain't working, or the folks are telling you we don't care. We don't care.
And normally when people say they don't care, it's usually because they don't care, or because they know that you're not going to do anything about it.
That's true.
But I don't have any more. It goes back to what BJ said about the date. That you go on the date, you're on the first date, the person looks over at the date and say, "Oh, by the way, I know we're having dessert, but I'm going back to jail." And you go ahead and you have dessert, and y'all continue the date, and you have a second date. So if you have a second date knowing, and if you're allowing me to have that second date, and I already told you I'm going back.
But where this is so important and so wrong, because the people that are getting hurt, the people that are coming up short, the people that are not getting their fair share look like me and you.
But again,
And that's what the whole issue of civil rights, the civil rights laws, all of this stuff, that the whole reason for this was because of the institutional barriers
that's right.
that have locked us out for all of this time. These things were put in place to give us a ladder to climb up over that brick wall. Now, we didn't have to run through it. It was supposed to be a ladder to climb over the wall that had been blocking us out, and you will allow somebody to kick the damn ladder over.
And you know what? and as you look at it, unemployment in St. Louis, 13.1% of black residents are unemployed, compared to 2.7% of white residents. If the unemployment rate were equitable, there would be 7,230 fewer unemployed people. We are 13.1% black residents unemployed, compared to 2.7% of white residents unemployed. And so when we talk about the being disadvantaged, the numbers, the disparity in the numbers speak for themselves, Adolphus. And so when we have an airport whose economic impact is $32 million, $32 billion, and when you have car companies who are making millions of dollars, and when you have hundreds of millions, and when you have concession entities, businesses out there with a monopoly then you do have to question who's making the damn rules and who's enforcing the rules. We put elected officials in office to make sure that the playing ground is level, to make sure that the rules are fair, and to make sure that we're monitoring the rules. And that's why we put them in.
And the next week, the next show, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you tons of examples in Chicago,
Atlanta,
L.A.
I used to live in hot Atlanta. See that?
Baltimore, Phoenix. We're gonna give you tons of examples where just the opposite is happening for black businesses and black concessionaires across this country. And St. Louis can compete with any one of them if we give the folks the opportunity.
And it's not like the example. I like what you just said, Adolphus. You know, I don't usually like what you say. I'm like a whole lot of those people that listen to us. But you're absolutely right. You know, we're not talking about reinventing the wheel. We're not talking about coming up with anything brand new. There are so many examples
and
around the country.
And now is the time, especially folks when they're talking about expanding and building a new airport terminal. If we can't get it straight now, I just tell you this. If I won't let you come in the yard before I build a house, after I build it, you definitely ain't coming in the house. Now, I'm just saying.
No, I got it. And for me, you know, if I agree, if we don't deal with this now while we're talking about expansion, and if we keep, you know, if we got the same director, if we've got the same commission, who, in my estimation, have not done due diligence in making sure that there's diversity and equity and inclusion. They have not done due diligence. The Airport Commission, those responsible for making sure that minority business owners get their share and that blacks get employed in jobs that you know, good wages. We have to go back and ask ourselves the question: who is in place?
Who's watching the hen house?
Who's watching the hen house? And not just who's watching the hen house. What role did we play?
Got you.
In identifying and deciding who would watch the hen house.
Got you.
And so, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we can blame everybody, but at some point, you know, we've got to start. You know, and I'm not going to use the word blame. We've got to start holding us accountable in this region anyway. We got black congressperson, we got black mayor, we got black president of the black chair,
half of the board of aldermen,
black chair of county commission. We've got most of our state legislature delegation or black. You know, we've got too many black elected officials in this region.
And next week, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about this stuff and show you what's going on in other airports, I'm going to show you and tell you about some real black girl magic. I'm going to tell you what some sisters.
I love black.
Some sisters are knocking down the doors and getting these concessions in these airports. And matter of fact, BJ, just for a little history lesson, there has been one black contractor with a 100% owned contract in the airport. There has been one. Has been one.
In our airport.
How
long ago was that?
They left. They've been gone since maybe the pandemic. But just one. They've been there for at least 20 years or longer. And guess what it was? What? Take a guess what they were doing.
Shining shoes.
Shining shoes.
Ha! Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna leave.
Shining shoes.
We're gonna leave on shining shoes. Thank you very much.
So we can get in, huh?
We can get in. Well, hey, shining shoes and tap dancing. Thank you very much for listening to another episode of Point Black. We'll see you again on the radio.